Stop buying paracord for your bug out bag and your get home bag. Now we know this guy is nuts. Paracord's awesome. Everybody loves paracord, but I've got a better option for you that isn't as bulky. Check it out. Let's ruffle some feathers today. I hate paracord. I've just never been a fan. I know that is prepper heresy, and I'm gonna run you through why I dislike this stuff. So if you're on this channel, I'm sure that you know what paracord is. Paracord is parachute cord. It's got an outer sheath, and then if you pull it back, you've got 7 inner strands that you can pluck apart. Why do preppers like paracord? Well, it's cheap. 100 feet was $11 on Amazon. I know you can buy it in 1,000-foot rolls and get it even cheaper than that. It knots well, I get that. It's pretty easy to tie and untie. It's got a little bit of thickness to it, so it takes knots well and unknots pretty well. The real reason why people seem to like paracord so much is these inner strands. The theory is that this 100 feet turns into 500 feet because I can gut it and I can pull these little bitty inner threads out. Great theory. The inner strands hold like 50 pounds each or something like that. Here's why I don't like it. Number one, it's bulky. This is 100 feet, and particularly if you buy it in a hank like this, there's just a lot of room between. It also stretches under tension, which is what it was designed to do, to absorb shock load from a parachute. So it stretches, and I just don't care for that. I also am going to say something really weird, which is I think it's too strong for most general purpose survival. I would trust my weight to it if I had to. I don't think that I would like to climb out of a 100-story building with it, but I think I would trust my life to it. But because it's so strong, it's kind of thicker than it needs to be. I mean, what are you really going to do with this? You're going to set traps or hang up a tent or a tarp or something like that. So I think it's kind of overkill. What do I prefer over this? This is braided mason line. I got this from Amazon, but you can get it from Home Depot, and it's made for laying string lines for putting down cinder blocks. It's very strong for its given weight. This will hold 175 pounds. This is incredible. This is 500 feet on this little roll, and that's 100 feet. I'll put that in the light. If you found this helpful, please give it a thumbs up and drop a comment. Thanks. This is 5 times the length as this. Now, yes, the argument can be that you could string out the 7 inner strands, and now this becomes 700 feet and this becomes 500 feet. But it's still smaller. And if you pull out the inner gut strands of this, the inner strands are relatively weak, whereas you still have full strength on this. I use this stuff all the time. The few times I've been camping, I use this for tent lines and for guy lines for my tent and for my tarps. And I use it to throw up my ham radio antennas up in trees. I really strongly recommend that you use the braided version, not the twisted version, because it knots a little bit better and it slides over tree branches better. If you're trying to weight this to throw it up through a tree branch for an antenna, if you use the twisted line, then it gets snagged in your tree bark. But the braided stuff is sort of a smooth, continuous weave, and it slides over branches much easier. So this is my preference. The one downside to this is that because it's so thin, it's hard to untie knots once this is knotted, but it's so cheap. Just cut it and move on with your life. I mean, this is incredible. They're basically the same price. This is $12 versus $11. So they're essentially the same price, but this is so cheap for the amount of quantity that you get. Just cut the string and move on. A middle ground This is 325 cord, accessory cord it's also known as, and this will hold 300 pounds, but it's much denser. It doesn't stretch like paracord does, and it's thinner, obviously. It just takes up a little bit less space and, you know, squeezes down a little bit tighter. So again, for general purpose bug out bag, car bag, etc., you know, these take up much less room than the paracord does. So this is my braided mason line. This is 325 cord, and this is 550 cord. The 325 cord does have, is that 5 inner strands? And there's the 550 cord with its 7 inner strands. But the jacket on 550 cord is much looser, so there's stretch to it. Whereas the 325 cord is much denser, so it doesn't stretch as much. You can see what the diameter difference is. If you found this helpful, please give it a thumbs up and drop a comment. Thanks.